Everyone. My name is Additional Samuel Victor, a strategic consultant and a life coach. I'm currently the student coordination for International Session of Agricultural Students and Related Sciences, University of Ibadan. And my job there is to drive collaborations for food systems. And currently the lead instructor for drone in agriculture training for Purpose for Agriculture Student Community, also a community that I founded. And I want to say thank you to the organizers of this, um, Miss Precious and her team. Money meets business, breaking barriers in agri. Money meets market, breaking barriers in agri business. So, before we dive deep, I would like you to write down every barriers that you have in agribusiness in agribusiness. So write out all of your barriers, whether it's mindset barrier, whether it's structural barrier, any kind of barrier you are having at all. So I will give us about 1 minute to do that. So while we um write that, so reading through this citation, you probably are seeing something like African prosperity depends on systems, capital, and scale, and agri capitalism, an enterprise-driven shift from subsistence farming. So yeah, I am of the school of thought that subsistence farming is not the way to go when it comes to driving driving profit, driving the market in agriculture. Of course, we know we currently have about 70% of smallholder farmers or rural farmers, as the case may be. Smallholder farmers, probably even in the city, about 70% of the farming population is about that, and that's a lot of number. And that's why for someone like me, I drive more with collaborations. So I drive merger and acquisitions. Some major agricultural merger and acquisitions that have happened in Oyo State. That have been some of what I've worked on currently. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So I believe that we are finished writing all of our barriers right now. And yeah, so the course shift that I'm going to be pitching to you that at the end of this session is that you are moving away from the model that we have been using. The wise man says that if there's something you have been doing in the same way, expecting a different result, it means that you are doing it in an unwise way. So yeah, the obsolete model and shifting to much more like I call it African capitalist, and like I said, it's not capitalism in what the essence of capitalism is, the extreme profit mindset. No, people is involved here. That's why it's Africa, the African model of capitalism. Shift from what your mindset saying that, oh, I need an investor to start my agribusiness, to telling you and making you see that your customers are actually your first investors. Focusing only just from your pitch deck to like your first invoice, and from hope-based financing to proof-based financing. So yeah, let's get right into it. So um let's do a bit of definition of terms and redefinition of terms so we could be on the same page. So Afrocapitalism. So what's Afrocapitalism? Afrocapitalism is an economic philosophy that invests private sector capital to generate profit and prosperity for local communities. It's essentially capitalism, say moral compass. So what this essentially means is you are you in the private sector are channeling your funds for sovereignty of local communities. So it can essentially make you maybe redesign communities and all. And like okay, so also something that look like it agri-capitalism. So it's you achieving the sovereignty, financial sovereignty of a place through agriculture, essentially. So of course, these are words you probably will not find in the dictionary, but these are sometimes I use with my community so that we can be on the same page. And so the definition of sometimes also, debunking some agricultural mindset. So um, first lie that I've had over and over again that they will say agriculture must always be small scale, start small or something. It must be look, a you are not running maybe just an entrepreneurial outfit or something. You are running a big business that is starting small. Once you can see it that, oh, this thing I'm doing is something big, but I'm just starting small, it's going to recondition the way you approach it. Another line that is also essentially in the agricultural sector is agriculture must always be dirty. It's for the illiterate, it's for the rural farmers, all of those. Agriculture today can be clean, can use the most recent technologies. Even there are people we call lab-based farmers, not those who do lab grown meat or the rest. People who are the ones that are ensuring and frontline innovations when it comes to research in agriculture. Those guys are lab-based farmers. So probably, when we are done with this, look up Netherlands, look up agriculture in Netherlands, use of greenhouses and all. You'll see how much work they put into making sure that their agriculture is something um, most up to date as it were. That said, so there are some paradox in agricultural sector, especially in Nigeria, that I want us to consider together. So this map is essentially showing Africa at its whole, but with a focus on Lagos. On the demand side, we have 1.4 billion people that are growing. That's 1.4 potential buyers of whatever agricultural material you are selling, agricultural produce you are selling. Production. You must produce something. Of course, I'm going to get to things that we can produce here. So that's like we have the fastest urbanization population on earth when it comes to Africa. So that's why a lot of countries are focusing on Africa. Different people that are trying to achieve sovereignty, they are focusing on Africa. So what that is for us is that the renowned business coach Vusi said that they sent a mail around the earth with Africa inside, and that's why every nation of the world are coming down to Africa. But only Africans didn't get the mail. I replied that what is in that mail when I had to talk about that statement with my community. What is in that mail is that Africa is the new market. Of course, you might choose to see it good or bad, but Africa is just the new market. That's the most emerging market currently. So on the supply side, agriculture employ over 60% of the workforce, but contribute only less than 10% to the productivity. You probably want to make a search of African GDP right now and compare it to the big five companies of the US and see some funny numbers. The leakage is that still about 40 billion is spent annually on food import. 40 billion US dollars is spent annually on food import. And it's not because of there's no market that we can sell to, it's just because there's a systematic failure of supply. So once you can access the system, work around the system, you would be able to find out the answers to it. So it means that this job the is in fact the billion US dollars is just like the most conservative estimate for towards the West African nation. But we are doing actually above 110 billion. It is a market system problem. The market system problem. And what is market? Why market? Market. Market is your capital, your own capital, because you are selling to the market. That's where you're getting your money from. Market is your capital. Market is your strategy. So how do you test for what is your market? There is a problem that you are solving. So what's the pain point? Acute and urgent pain point. So let me try to bring it home a bit more. How urgent is that problem? If somebody is sick, for example, let's say not a kind of illness that is making the person stay down, and you are offering the person a painkiller or a vitamin, what would the person go for? Definitely a painkiller. In fact, in this part of the world that we don't really take drugs, we had to go ahead and include vitamin A into things like our sugar and our cassava, because we would have to give people vitamin A tablet. Most of our people are not going to use it. Yeah. So is your problem, is the problem you are solving, is the solution you are offering, is it
a nice to have or a must have? Is it the problem that they must have the solution? Food is one of the things that of course people must have. Yeah, whether you work, whether you don't work, whether you're sick, whether you're fine, everybody will eat. Yeah. So now, are there people? Is there a clearly defined customer segment willing to pay for the solution? It's not enough for them to be people that you can sell to. Are they actually willing to pay for it? And will they put money in their pocket to pay for it? Like immediately they see it, will they be compelled to want to pay for it? Yeah. So that's like the equation. And the equation says no paying customer, no viable business, and no justification for your investment. So even before you said, "Oh, let me try to pitch to this investor, let me try to get this grant," and I'm going to get there because got a couple of grants. Let me try to get this guy, let me try to get this funding. If there's no paying customer, there's no viable business, and there's no justification for any investment to be given out to you. And the only way you can answer these questions is when you do your market research. That's the only way you can answer this question. You can't serve who you don't understand. You can't sell to a market you don't understand. So, first step, define your objective. Define why you need to know the customers. What exactly you need to know. What are your pain points? Like I said, what are your contributors? Who are those who are going to be your likely contributors? Who are going to be your likely collaborators when you are, doing this research? Who are going to be your competitors? And how sensitive is the price to and there's something they call SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. You do it for a business that you have already. And the other thing they call pest analysis, pest too, as the case may be, politics, economy, social, technological. We are researching all of these things to find out how it's going to affect you. Yeah, to find out how it's going to affect you. So when you define your objective, go ahead to collect data. Yeah, technology have done a lot for us. All right, technology have done a lot for us. You can make this call something. A friend was going to start selling yams. She was going to start bringing yam from Benue to Lagos, and we had to go to Benue together. So of course we had made calls. People who came from Benue that spoken to us how good their yam is and all. We know how good Benue yam is. But we still have to go there physically, establish who are going to be our likely collaborators who we can directly say, oh, send us yam and we are going to send you the money. Like, but we are going to pay you the money. Just put it on the truck for us. Our driver is going to come pick it up, right? So we have to do that, and that is how you are going to go about any business, especially if you are just starting, right? And even if you have started your business, you still have to keep analyzing your market. Market change. In fact, statistically, a market is likely to change every 4 years. The taste of a market is likely to change. A generation, most especially, is likely to change every 4 years. It used to be longer than that, but I think it's shorter now. And of course, there are secondary insights, maybe industry reports, government data, IFO statistics, and all this industry data, used to help you spot trend lines. Okay, let me make an example with the World Bank report that came out. Was it earlier this year or late last year? So the statistic was essentially saying that about 60% of people are going to lose their job by 2030. And that's due to the fact that technological innovation are going to be defining job titles. That's not the time to go and do what the peasants or the non-highlight people are going to do. No, to complain, oh, this AI, it's just affecting everybody. This takes something. No, 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 no. It's for you to spot trends, to know how this is going to contribute to you, how this is going to further enhance your endeavors. So there's something called disruptive innovations. So disruptive innovations are essentially those kind of innovations that when it comes into the system, is going to change, redefine the rules of the game. So let me make an example with computer. So when typewriter, there was a time that typewriter was the leading guy in town. I think some of us don't know what typewriters are, but typewriters is just that kind of machine that you use to type. Yeah. So when computer came on board, everybody who were typesetting and or were doing all of that at that time, they all lost their jobs. They all lost their businesses. Why? Because a new sheriff is in town. So if you have seen an industry trend going towards that place, it's just basic and wise for you to start moving in that line already, so that you'll not be caught unaware. I mean, innovations are meant to further bring ease into how we do things. Yeah, that's why tech exists in the first place. Literally, that's one of the definitions they give to what technology is, right? So, but as the time went by, at that time there's still cyber cafe and all. I doubt if there are any cyber cafes any longer now. Why? Because you can type on your phone, you can get connected to the internet on your phone. Phones already do this redefined what they did with computer again. Do you see? So yeah, that's like step three. You are going to have um, apply this insight and use this finding to refine, remake what your offer is going to be. Don't waste the research. Like always, always do research. Always do research. Yes, in fact, dedicate a specific amount of resources, amount of time to doing research, even when your business is running already. That is why people who are the leaders of the century, the big companies, they always have a dedicated research team, or you see them um sponsoring PhD students, sponsoring master students. Do you think they like them? No, it's because those research are going to be valuable for them in the course of their work. Did you see? So yeah, where there's no market, there's no money. Where there's no market, there's no business. So and when you are trying to address your market, there are some terminologies that is used in business. So addressable market, TAM, total addressable market. Total addressable market is about what is the whole value chain. What does that entire business cost, right? So your total addressable market, depending on your use case, uh, can be different. So the example we used in this place is uh, the smallholder farmers that we have. An average 20 million smallholder farmers. Of course, it's way more than that, but there's just an hypothetical example. Um, and we say per planting season, each farmers spend 20,000 naira. So it means that our total addressable market with 20 million people is 400 billion naira. Then what is the serviceable addressable market? So we see our serviceable addressable market, the slice of the pie, that we can serve. Okay, we launch this solution. At the end of the day, we should be able to um service 2 million people at our peak. We should be able to service 2 million people in northern Nigeria, and these 2 million people, they are tomato farmers, right? So, and it's the same 20,000 naira. So it means that our serviceable addressable market is 40 billion naira. Then we now know that, oh, that is our total estimate of what we want to do. But we know that in this very first year of launch, we can only service 5% of this market, 5% of 2 million farmers. Do you see? That's about 100K and 100,000 people at the same 20,000 naira. That is 2 billion naira. Right? So, these fancy figures, they're probably fancy figures. If you try to do that for Lagos is the largest consumer of beef, right? You just have to do that to Lagos. And if you see what Lagos is spending on food, I mean, when we are done with this session, please make research of what Lagos is spending on food. Make a research of what Lagos is spending in your own sector on food. Okay, let's say you do poultry. Check what Lagos is spending on poultry. Um, and just think of if you can just have 5% of that, like just 5% of that. You try to do your market analysis, right? So then, when you are before you get into the market, it's okay. What is this? What is your value proposition? Who are your likely customers? And when we're talking about um post harvest loss earlier, talking about having to use refrigeration, um cold storage. Look at it, cold storage. We narrowed down to tomato farmers, right? That's our ideal customer. Then who has these specific problems? All of the farmers do have it, but we were narrowing down to tomatoes farmers. Then that is your product. Provide what's the key benefit of your product, and we are going to check. If you do your research properly, you will know that there are some people who are doing something related to you, but it's not you, right? So you are going to see what your competition is like. Then you say what is your unique difference. So I made an example also with the same cold storage. So for small order tomato farmers who face heavy post harvest losses. So, what's the product? Our cold room, like solar powered cold room, provide affordable preservation. That is what we provide. And unlike diesel powered solutions, we operate on a pay as you go store model that save money and extend shelf life, creating that's like we crafting our value proposition, right? So this is what is called a business model canvas. So um in business model cover, you should do this. I believe everybody should do this for their business, even if you are offering. No, I kept saying business because I'll try to redefine what business is. Down the slide. I believe everybody should do this. Everybody should do this. Whatever thing you are doing, you are offering just a service. I believe everybody, you can decide to go ahead and just go online and search for any business model cover to answer this, right? So, in the part of the business model cover, um, that has to do with market analysis, it has to do with the value proposition part, the customer segment, um the customer relationship, and the channels in which you are using to reach your customers. So what are the channels? How do you deliver your value? Okay, do you do it through social media? What kind of logistics are you using? If it's a product, how do you reach your customers? What channels have you used, or the ones that you are considering using? So consider supply, distribution, marketing, communication channels. How well integrated are they to your system? I mean, you are not having a customer care center that is misbehaving. You get, so, and if you don't have that already, you don't have that yet. um it's also saying, because about your customer relationship. And also, you can always, pause this to answer these questions. You can always pause this to answer the questions, so cost of time, so we can move on. So rule two, the rule one I talked about is that, there's no market, there's no business, there's no investor. Forget about investment. um but now that there is a market, and we're trying to make sure money meets market. Now that there's a market, you must be a salesperson. You must be a salesperson. Like, there's no way that you can push to the top there and not be a salesperson. Everybody who's at the top there knows how to pitch themselves, knows how to sell themselves out, right? Okay, so the traditional part that, most of us do, we produce something, then we pray um about it, then we go and, pitch it to people. Like, we're going to try to sell it to people, and you you sometimes it's waste. You can sip money to production without a ready buyer and all. But we try to use hope as our strategy. We try to use hope as our strategy, and that's not good enough, right? So I become vulnerable due to price cash and or middlemen. But what you are actually supposed to do is to sell first. Yeah, you should sell first. So let me explain to you. Anytime somebody meets me and says, "Oh, um, Samuel Victor, I'm getting into this agro business or something, something," the first thing I says, "I was still going to be a salesman." That's usually the first thing I tell them. Go and be a salesman. And you're like, "What? I want to produce. I want to have my brand." Oh, go and be a salesman. Go and sell first. Go and get somebody else's product and sell. If you can sell, it means you have already have a customer base. Then when you have a customer base, you can try to start producing for those your customers. Then when you can serve your customers, you can start think of scaling, right? That is it. So start building a base of loyal buyers, a base of loyal customers, to prove that that market that you found is good. So there's something called white labeling. White labeling. So I know some of us have seen Oraimo, and Oraimo, Oraimo code, yeah. So Oraimo is, Oraimo does not produce any of the product that they do, that they sell to you. All they are is a sales company for that kind of product. They don't produce it. So what they do is they do something called white labeling. So what white labeling essentially is that you buy somebody else's product and you brand it with your own brand. That's what white labeling is. You buy somebody else's product, you brand it with your own brand. We do it also in Agric. If you have been to Niji farms before, you would have seen that Niji farms produce for. There's this time that this thing was trending. There's a sachet that has gari, sugar, and I think milk together inside it. I don't know why that product went out of existence. At that time, it was Ninja Farms that was producing it, and it was not his brand. It was somebody else's brand that was on it, right? So yeah, you can do that. Just make sure you get an active base of customers, right? So let your customers finance it. When you even start to push, when you're selling properly, investors can naturally gravitate to you with their money, because they know that, oh, you're going to make profit from it, yeah, right? So rule three, use your socials properly. Use your socials properly. So all these platforms are no longer slide lines. They're like the new farms, the new market squares. They have the virtual market square, um, subsequent to what we used to have in the village, right? So Facebook, WhatsApp, name them. Like, these groups can help you ensure your personal credibility. When you show proof of what you are doing, and what step a lot of people do is that they try to teach people what they are doing. They try to teach people. Of course, there's this thing about, don't share your trade secret. You can share your trade secrets. All of that is an ethical argument. It's not something we can get into in this conversation. But I'm saying that that's what some of the strategies some people use to keep those goods running. Like you're not just um dumping your product on them, right? You're not just dumping your products. The other people do it a lot, but I'm not going to that. So then, all the short video platform, TikTok, Instagram, they are usually very good storytelling. And if you are running a personal brand, your face is always very important in this. Your personal brand is a lot in this place. Your personal brand, test of character and all happens with your personal brand. When you tell your story, people value storytelling a lot. The kind of stories I went to if I got this palm oil to you. In a way, it syncs with people's emotion, right? It syncs with people's emotion. And YouTube is for you when maybe you are documenting the entire process of how you produce this or something. We are reviewing something, and you can, if you do this consistently, you are trying to establish yourself as an authority in this field, right? That's what you are trying to do. Then, okay, I mentioned personal brand. So, difference between personal branding and business branding. When your personal brand, you build your trust. People can trust you. You can They can see you that you are the one behind this thing. They can relate to you because people often buy into you. Even investors say they invest into the person than the business idea. That, oh, this person will not fail. The business it can fail, but like you get. Then when it comes to business, you create structure, your business brand, you create structure, consistency, scalability. It makes the enterprise bigger than you as an individual. Yeah, people can say that, oh, there's a whole team of people running this, right? So the winning formula is not like you are choosing one over the other. It's like you are bringing to marrying them together, right? So people can say that, oh, in personal branding. Okay, I think you should look up this guy. His name is Farmer Samson Boli. So he runs Soilless Farm Lab. I think that's the largest soilless farming in West Africa, if I'm correct. Yeah, West Africa. Right, like look him up. Soilless Farm Lab. On his personal page is running, talking about things that has to do with agriculture, advising farmers and or running farmers advisory. He has a Facebook group too. But on his company's page, I mean, they are just selling. Literally, they're just selling. That's what they are doing, right? So, and the way you use your socials, create awareness, make sure social media, has a way of always pushing your content. Even if it's looking like you don't have um traction now, just keep doing it. Social media rewards consistency. Yeah, I've seen it over and over. Rewards consistency. You keep building your engagement. That's the way you're creating your. Then when you start to sell, for example, let's say you're using your social media to sell, you start to get people's testimonials. That's why people post receipts, post what they're trying to do is essentially get the part of you that believe it in them. Post receipt, post different things. Then you convert these people who some people they just say that they're just seeing you for the next like 3 years. Just your goal is to find how to convert these people that your content is getting to your customers, right? So even your investors. So your your customers can become those who refer people to you. They can become those who refer people to you. And when you are building to a point, investors naturally come for you. They naturally come for you. They can offer you merger and acquisition and all. They naturally come for you because they know that you might finally become maybe the next big thing that we have on. You might become a threat to them, right? If they run a business that is not against the line of your home business, right? So let me try to run a case study by you. So the Agri Influencer Network was launched by Mastercard Foundation in 2024 to train young entrepreneurs. So, some of people that probably want to look up that way, there, Farmer Lanre, he runs Landshare Farms. There was Chairman Daisy, she runs Chi Africa. Yeah, Chairman Daisy, she runs Chi Africa. So, these guys use every social media to tell story about farming. That's what they do. So because of they have done that over and over again, um, Mastercard Foundation will easily find them through their socials, build their personal credibility. And because sometimes when you're applying for some pitch, they will tell you send us your social media links. They want to see what you have been doing with your socials, right? Even now that Trump has said you must submit your social media links that must be made, I think up to 5 years or so before you can get their visa or something. I mean, they can see what you are doing over time, right? So in a way, it build your results. And there's always the question of what can I sell? What can I sell? Yeah, first you can sell information. This is your market now. You can sell information. So from market prices, worker forecast, agronomic data, like what I'm doing, I'm teaching. I'm literally selling you information because you are paying. Yes, you are paying your attention. You are paying your time. Yeah, you are paying your attention. You are paying your time. That's why they say pay attention, pay time. You get you are spent time. Do you see those words now? Yeah, you are paying for the information I'm sharing with you, even though you are you can sell services. Of course, those who maybe run logistic companies, the service that they do, mechanization. I train people on how to fly drones. That's a service, right? So processing, storage, like different things that it is not a tangible product that you're holding. And um, last, you can sell goods. So of course, that's what everybody is more familiar with in agriculture, seed, um, and I used to say that don't sell. I don't buy the idea of selling raw things, right? Because you make more money when you add value to it. In fact, the rule says the closer you are to the ground, the less money you make in agriculture. The closer you are to the ground, the less money you make. So if you are the guy who is processing in between, you are most likely going to make more money, more profit than that guy who was the one who spent the entire farming season, right? So if you are the one getting it to the final consumer, you are the one making the most money. But the closer you are to the final consumer in the value chain, is the more money you're gonna make. Okay. So yeah. So and brand, yes. There are a lot of people who sell brand even more than what they do. So let me try to say it, put it to you as a business. So when you're selling information, you teach courses, masterclass, can create podcasts, you can write books. Of course, not the all the ChatGPT books that are trending up and down these days. But you get what the point I'm saying. You can't like literally monetize your knowledge, monetize your and build ad- advisory apps through the information that you have, offering market data and insights. Your service, of course, that one is even easier to convert into a business. But maybe what you do is repair tractor or something, something. If you are not smart enough, you probably don't know how to scale that into a business because you are the only one doing it. You don't know that probably you have to exploit someone when now starting. Okay. So you get then goods, obviously. You can always get that into a business, right? That's the fastest route that a lot of us are familiar with. Then it also begs the question, I already mentioned something around text earlier. What is the future of work in Africa? The future of work in agriculture. Now I have a whole podcast on this. Um I have a podcast on this. I probably share the link with Miss Precious so that I can get it across to you. World Bank already project that by 2030, about 60% of African current job will vanish, and agriculture we face it because we're the ones who employ the most, right? So I already said manual labors, informal trading, everything will be displaced by digital platform, intelligent systems. I don't know if you said this, it happened maybe almost a month back now. The UK are already using digital ID, and they already be told the people's salary if they don't have the digital ID. Yeah, like you can look this up, look this information up. So what's the disruption that's coming? Cloud computing. There's already cloud computing, but because we are going to be running a lot of things much more on the internet, using the internet at that time, um all these things are going to be getting into cloud computing system. And once agriculture scale, they need this massive IT equipment to get it done. Predictive analysis is also IT, computer vision, drone map, soil fertility, and all. you know all these things, it's skills that you're going to need at that time. It's just better to start learning from now. you know s- if you are smart enough, you can get the middleman out of. In fact, there's something called blockchain technology that you can use to track your product. Blockchain technology, you can do that with your product, and it's going to it's going to do this easily, and you can always track your product the way you can track any goods you order from anywhere, and you have cut away middlemen, and it's coming directly from the farmer straight to the consumer. Do you see? So if you think you're a middleman, I don't have issues with it, but that's what's coming towards you. So The new market of skills is, we are going to be seeing emergence of agricultural data scientists, like those who are really they are data scientists, yes, but they are bringing into the agricultural space. Digital supply chain managers, instead of you being a middleman, you can probably start to upskill to get into this. Um, uh, they do different things with, like I said, blockchain earlier, with global traceability. One of why Nigerian beef is not entering into the Arabian market currently is because of traceability. They want to know what farm the meat is coming from, and blockchain offers that, right? So agri-tech specialists, they're going to be having, because agricultural field is quite different from the normal field. That's why a lot of banks don't want to invest. A lot of insurance firm don't want to invest into it. So we're going to have people that are going to, like, that have already hacked the system, and they can design financial services that are tailor made for us, right? And of course, those of us with logistic and delivery, drone free. By the way, I'm still currently holding my drone class free. Um, of course, it's cost a token, but I'm still currently hosting it free because I just believe it's one of the contributions. It's one of our CSR from Purpose Cultural Student Community, and we are doing it, at least for now, to the end of the year, I think, for free. So, and of course, a lot of things for surveillance, a lot of things for disaster assessment. Like I mentioned, information. Once you can maybe analyze the climate data, you can tell that, oh, flood is coming by this time, drought is coming by this time. Because we need all of that. Climate change is really showing farmers shaggy right now. And we need all of this. So we need people who are going to do this, are going to tell us, and climate change will be worse at that time. Yeah. So okay, yeah, also in markets, there are two ways you can choose to see market. In the vertical vertical movement of market, um, you probably do from farm to fork when it comes to the product. So you are the one producing on farm, you are the one doing all of the value addition, value processing till it gets to the customer, right? So the case study I used there is palm oil. So you you have your palm oil nursery, your palm oil plantation. You are the one who do the harvesting, milling, refining of it. Then you are the one who do the packaging, branding, even to selling it to the people. So you know everything throughout that particular value chain. And the horizontal part is that you are probably staying in a part of the value chain and you are spreading across different products. For example, if you are doing oil milling, for example, the case study I used in this place, oil milling is that maybe you're producing palm oil. So I want to do an horizontal, you can start producing shea butter oil, um, soybean oil, coconut oil, all these bio oils that they use for maybe fragrances and all. You can start producing all of that, right? It's oil, but you are moving because value chain. It's not like like the person who is just in with just agriculture, right? So yeah, and it really protects you from external shocks when okay, if this particular commodity falls now, this one is still saving you. Did you get? So okay, so yeah, now let's talk about the other funding sources. So some people have been waiting to hear this part. Yes, there are grants, um, angel investor, and venture capital. So what does grant do for you? Most times, grants are early stage. Though there are scale up grants too. Don't get me wrong, but most grants are startup. Most grants that are available in agriculture are startup. And in fact, to tell you the truth, um, that startup is just like a part. It's not like fully. You must have crossed your ideation MVP stage, minimum viable product stage. Like this is what we can do. You must have crossed all those proof of concept. You must have crossed those stage already, right? So like it means that you are just at the early stage of your business. That's where most grants come, because grants, people say it's free money, but most people who give grants, they have an objective in mind when they are giving it to you. Most of grants that you are going to get are grants that are premedicated on you doing something that is social impact. Yeah, that's it. Then there is angel investor. No, angel investor is seed stage. You funding when it comes to seed stage. That's where maybe you are trying to pitch. There is dragons, then lions, den. Lions den in Nigeria. There's Shark Tank in Australia, right? The other, angel investors like that. So these angel investors, um, when they come to you, they want to buy 30% of your business. That's what they want to do. They want to buy 30% of your business. Then there's venture capital. Venture capital too is also almost like that. Um, venture capitalists, most of them, because like you said, capitalists, they are after profit and profit alone. So angel investors can still meet you at the early stage of your business, and or impact investors, they can meet you at the early stage of your business. But venture capitalists, they can meet at any stage, and they want their money, they want their profit. Their profit, very profit driven, very very profit driven. Yeah. So and some of them, once they make their money to this point, they get out of the business. Um, they are getting out of the business. So and venture capital is not for every business. It's not, because of the technicalities that are with it. And of course, one of the ways also to raise funds is when you become publicly listed, IPOs, when you become publicly listed on stock exchange market and all. So you can sell the shares of your company and all. In fact, I'm of the opinion that if, for example, small scale farmers in, say, Okeogun, for example, Okeogun is let's say they're about 50, let's say they're about 50 hectares of land, 50,000 hectares of land that they are using there, and it's being manned by 20,000 small scale farmers. If they can find a way to bring you together these small scale farmers and make them form a single company, it's going to be easier to drive tractor over 50,000 hectares of land than when it's broken across 20,000 people. It's going to be easier to drive your tractor around that. It's going to be easier to bring some high tech innovation into it and let everybody be shareholders. Do you see? Depending on how much land you contribute, depending on how much money you're going to put into it, let everybody be shareholders. Like that's just my own opinion with it. Right. So of course you can still finally get a job, and there are some companies that their their workers are shareholders and they're still working there. There's a name they call it. There's a kind of system that they call it, right? You can still be working on the farm, but this time we are driving much more with tech and all, right? Like I said, smallest has just been the thing that they have pitched to us to make us remain small. Okay. So you know, So yeah, other investment you can have in agriculture, right? And this is one part I know Miss Precious does. So advert for her, real estate, in agriculture. Farmland is the name of it. Real estate is doing a lot. They're taking a lot of lands, and you will need to find a way to cope your land now before they build house on it. Just kidding, but you get. So there's a rising demand for arable land. It's a lie that we say everywhere in Nigeria is fertile. It's a lie. I'm a soil scientist by training, and I can tell you it's a good lie just to keep you in farming. And that's why it becomes an ethical concern when we are saying everywhere is fertile and I'm trying to do organic farming and I'm not getting the kind of yield that guy who's doing inorganic farming is. So if everywhere is really feeling fertile, why am I not getting that? It's just the thing that happened is that because we have not really cultivated Nigeria the way they have cultivated it. That's why it look like it is. It is. You let them take away all those forests that they say people are seeing that make them think that Nigeria is fertile. Let them take away all those forests and you start planting there. Plant there for after 7 years, you see that it has no nutrient again. Especially even depending on the kind of planting you are planting, because there are some crops that take more nutrient than the other, right? So of course, then stock and bonds, markets. When we are done with this, please look up Olam's farm, Olam, OLAM, and check their rating on the stock market. Just do that when we are done. Just do that, right? So buying shares in agribusiness. And this is one part that I think I like a lot. Buying shares in agribusiness and just if you think you're a financial analyst, financial this, financial that, just buy enough stock and use dividends. Use your dividends to keep buying more. So and okay, so there's also merger and acquisition. So these are more of legal terms as it were. But for merger and acquisitions, if I used to say it's better to own um a the lap of the elephant than own the entire ant hill. If you are running a business that you are finding that to scale, and somebody else is running something different, I don't see any reason why you cannot match. Personally, that's the personal. Don't see any reason why you cannot match or why you cannot buy each other because, especially if it's a red ocean economy. Blue ocean economy is when you're doing something that people have not really done before. we are like the only player, or those there are just few players there. But with the rest, um, ocean economy, Red Sea economy, Red Ocean economy actually is that there are a lot of okay, you are selling tomatoes, everybody's selling tomatoes, right? So for you to be able to pull more resources together to be able to pull, so you can do merger and acquisitions, right? So um, you see, the core idea is that you stop chasing investors and you start building market. That's the core idea. That you stop chasing investors, start building your market. Your customers are your most sustainable financiers. So yeah, I've successfully shown you how what is in the market, right? I've successfully shown you how to get where the market is, where your money is, where the market is, where your money is. I've successfully shown you all of that, and I've tried to answer the question of your market research, how you are going to do it. I've tried to redefine things, change your mindset on some things. But um, what's pitching? When I mentioned grant and VC in passing, what's pitching? Pitching is you trying to sell your idea to your investor. Basically, that's what pitching is. So I hope with this I've been able to answer the questions that you wrote down initially. And you still have other questions, of course, you can always reach Miss Precious. You can always reach me. And okay, yeah. I also have a book on seller. The name is Idea to Agribusiness in Agriculture, and the book I will keep it free for the next 24 hours so that everybody, I believe, will get this pre-recorded video is going to have access to it, right? So I believe you watch it within 24 hours so that you can have access to it. Thank you so much. I remain Additional Samuel Victor. And yeah, there are a couple of videos on my YouTube channel, just my name, that you can also use to then. I spoke extensively. There's one of them I spoke extensively on the market of yam. Yeah, because I do a bit of consultancy around that area too. So you can always find that. Thank you so much.